My girlfriend was too sick to go out, but her Instagram story showed her at a candlelit dinner, holding hands with someone. When I texted her, she replied, "I don't know what you're talking about," while still posting more pictures. I don't even know how to start this because even thinking about it pisses me off. Imagine trusting someone, being with them for years, sharing a home, making plans for the future, only to find out they've been lying to your face the whole time. Not just lying. Blatantly lying while rubbing it in your face. That's what happened to me. And when I found out the truth, I didn't just sit there and take it. No. I made sure she regretted it. I had been with my girlfriend, Amanda, for almost 3 years. We lived together in an apartment in Austin, Texas. I worked full-time at a tech startup, and she was a part-time yoga instructor who spent more time scrolling through social media than actually working. She always had big dreams but never followed through on anything. One month, she wanted to start a business. The next, she wanted to travel. Then, she wanted to go back to school. But instead of doing any of that, she just existed, floating through life while I handled most of the responsibilities. I didn't mind at first. I figured she'd find her way. I supported her, encouraged her, even covered more than my fair share of rent when she claimed money was tight. I thought we were a team. I was an idiot. One Friday night, we had plans. Nothing crazy, just dinner and a movie. We hadn't gone out in a while, so I was actually looking forward to it. Around 4 p.m., she texted me, "Amanda, hey babe, I'm not feeling great. Think I might have caught something. I just want to stay in and rest tonight." I asked if she needed anything. Medicine? Soup? Anything at all? "Amanda, no, I just need sleep. Love you red heart." I told her to get some rest, that I'd check in later. And that was it. Or at least, that's what I thought. A few hours later, I was on my couch, eating takeout and watching TV, when my phone buzzed. It was my buddy, Mark. "Mark, dude, isn't this your girl?" Attached was a screenshot of Amanda's Instagram story. I opened it. The first picture? A dimly lit restaurant. Fancy table setup. Candles. The kind of place she'd always beg me to take her to, but I never did because we were supposed to be saving money. The second picture? A close-up of 2 hands holding each other over the table. One of them was hers. I knew those rings. I knew her nails. I had seen those hands reach for mine hundreds of times. The other? A man's hand. Bigger. Wearing a watch I didn't recognize. I felt my whole body go numb. I went to her Instagram. She hadn't blocked me from seeing her stories. She was still posting. More pictures. A glass of wine. A plate of expensive food. The edge of her date's face, just enough to show that he wasn't me. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. My hands were shaking. I texted her immediately. "Me, hey, thought you were sick. Weird, because I just saw your Instagram story." She replied almost instantly. "Amanda, I don't know what you're talking about." I stared at my phone. Was she serious? Was she actually gaslighting me in real time while still posting more pictures? I waited a few minutes. She posted another picture. This time, a selfie with a wine glass, smiling like she didn't just lie straight to my face hours earlier. I saw red. I could have called her. I could have gone to the restaurant and caused a scene. I could have yelled, confronted her, demanded answers. But that would have given her control. That would have given her the chance to cry, make excuses, spin the situation in her favor. No. If she wanted to play games, I was going to win. I took screenshots of everything. Her posts. Our texts. I even scrolled back to old conversations where she claimed she'd never cheat, where she reassured me that she loved me. I saved everything. Then, I got to work. First, I started digging. Who was the guy? I had a feeling, but I wanted to be sure. I went through the restaurant's tagged location on Instagram. Scrolled through public stories from people who were there that night. And then, bingo. Some random girl had posted a wide-angle shot of the restaurant. In the background, clear as day, was Amanda, with Jason. Jason. Her coworker. The guy she once told me was just a friend. The guy she used to complain about because he wouldn't stop flirting with her at work. The guy she promised wasn't a threat. I felt my jaw clench so hard it hurt. I wasn't just angry. I was done. Amanda wasn't just my girlfriend. She was my roommate. We lived together. Our lease had 6 months left. But guess whose name was on it? Mine. When we first moved in, we had agreed to split rent 50/50ths. But as time went on, she started falling behind. She always had an excuse: her paycheck was late, her account was overdrawn, she had unexpected expenses. I covered for her, like an idiot. Now, that was over. I checked the lease. Since it was in my name, I had the power to remove her from it. I reached out to the landlord, explained the situation, and asked what my options were. Turns out, since she wasn't on the lease, I could kick her out whenever I wanted. Perfect. Next, I started packing. I went through our apartment and boxed up all her stuff. Clothes, makeup, yoga mats, random decorative crap she insisted we buy. I stacked everything neatly in the living room. But I wasn't done. I printed out all the receipts. Screenshots of her Instagram stories. Our texts. The picture of her and Jason at the restaurant. I put them in an envelope and wrote one thing on the front: I don't know what you're talking about. Then, I changed the locks. And I waited. Amanda had no idea what was coming. She thought she got away with it. She thought she was being slick. But by the time she came home, reality was about to hit her like a freight train. And I was going to enjoy every second of it. Amanda got home late that night. Probably after her little date with Jason. I was sitting on the couch, completely calm, waiting. The second she tried to unlock the door, I heard it, the rattling of the doorknob, the pause, then the sound of her keys scraping against the lock. She tried again. Harder this time. Then, I heard her frustrated sigh. A few seconds later, she knocked. Aiden? Her voice was muffled through the door. Babe? My key isn't working. I didn't answer. Another knock. Louder this time. Aiden? What's going on? Still nothing. Then came the texts. Amanda, hey, I think something's wrong with my key. Amanda, are you home? Amanda, seriously? Why aren't you answering? I let her sweat. After a few more minutes, she started calling. The first one, I ignored. The second, same thing. By the third, I finally picked up, but I didn't say anything. Aiden? What the hell? She snapped. Why won't you open the door? I let the silence hang for a second before answering. Why don't you ask Jason? Dead. Silence. I could practically hear her brain short-circuiting. What? She finally choked out. I don't know what you're talking about. My voice was flat. Cold. She tried to speak, but all that came out was a stuttered mess of half-formed excuses. I hung up before she could finish. The banging on the door started immediately. Aiden. Open the door. I didn't. She kept going for almost 5 minutes. Calling my name, begging, even cursing at me. Then, silence. I checked the peephole. She was standing there, arms crossed, gripping her phone like she wanted to smash it. I could see the gears turning in her head. She was trying to figure out what I knew, how much I had seen, and most importantly, how screwed she was. Then, she noticed the stack of boxes. And the envelope sitting on top. I watched as she hesitated before picking it up. She slowly opened it, pulled out the screenshots, all the proof of her lies, and the second she saw them, she visibly flinched. For the first time, reality hit her. She wasn't coming back inside. You'd think she would accept it, maybe even try to apologize. But no. Amanda wasn't the type to go down quietly. Instead, she called my mom. Yeah. At 2 a.m. I was in bed when my phone buzzed. I ignored it at first, but then I saw who was calling. Mom. I sighed and picked up. Hey, Aiden, what is going on? She cut me off. Amanda just called me crying. She said you locked her out? Of course she did. I let out a slow breath. Mom, she cheated on me. Silence. Then, what? She lied to my face, told me she was sick, and then went on a date with another guy. I have proof. I packed up her stuff, changed the locks, and I'm done. My mom was quiet for a long time. Then, she sighed. I see. I could tell she wasn't happy about being dragged into this, especially in the middle of the night. She made it sound like you just threw her out for no reason, she said carefully. Yeah, well, she's a liar, I muttered. Mom sighed again. I'll call her back. Don't let her manipulate you, Aiden. I could hear the exhaustion in her voice. She didn't want to deal with this any more than I did. After we hung up, I checked my texts. Amanda had sent me paragraphs. She had gone through all the stages: denial, anger, bargaining. Amanda, this is a misunderstanding. Amanda, you're seriously overreacting. Amanda, I was just having dinner with a friend. Amanda, okay, fine, I messed up. But can we talk? Amanda, you're being so immature. Amanda, Aiden, please, I have nowhere to go. That last part? That was the part that almost got me. Because as much as I hated her in that moment, we had lived together for years. Kicking her out wasn't just revenge, it was cutthroat. But then I remembered something. She wasn't homeless. She had Jason. She had been sneaking around with him for weeks, maybe months, lying to my face while I paid for our home, our food, everything. She could go stay with him. So, I didn't answer. The next morning, I expected her to be gone. But when I left for work, she was still there. Sitting outside the apartment building, on the steps, looking absolutely pathetic. The moment she saw me, she jumped up. Aiden, please, can we just talk? I stopped walking. Not because I wanted to talk, but because I was curious. What was she going to say? You seriously won't even let me explain, she said, her voice cracking just enough to make her sound like the victim. I screwed up, okay? But I didn't sleep with him, I swear. I tilted my head. So, you're saying you only cheated emotionally? That's supposed to make me feel better? She opened her mouth, then closed it. She knew she couldn't win that argument. So, she changed tactics. Aiden, I have nowhere else to go. I narrowed my eyes. Where's Jason? The second his name left my mouth, she flinched. We're not like that, she stammered. I crossed my arms. Really? So, the guy whose hand you were holding? The guy you were on a date with? The guy you chose over me? You're telling me he's not like that with you? Her face turned red. It wasn't like that. I scoffed. Then go stay with him. She clenched her fists. I can't. I raised an eyebrow. Why not? Her lips parted slightly, like she was trying to find an excuse. But then, I saw something in her expression. Something off. That's when it hit me. Jason didn't want her either. Something must have happened after their date. Maybe he got cold feet. Maybe he realized she wasn't worth the trouble. Maybe, just maybe, he had a girlfriend of his own and dumped Amanda the second I found out. Whatever the reason, she was now alone. And she had the audacity to think I'd take her back. I let out a small laugh. Not because any of this was funny, but because I realized just how pathetic she was. She didn't love me. She just didn't want to lose her safety net. And now? Now she had nothing. I took a deep breath, looked her dead in the eyes, and said, that's not my problem. Then, I walked away. After that morning, I figured Amanda would finally leave. She slung the bag over her shoulder and brushed past me, but just before she reached the door, she hesitated. Then, she turned back. Her expression had changed. Gone was the fake exasperation. Now, she just looked bitter. You really think you won, don't you? She muttered. I frowned. What the hell are you talking about? She smirked, shaking her head. You'll see. And then, she was gone. The next day, I thought about changing the locks again. Clearly, Amanda was not done messing with me. But I had no idea what her next move was. I didn't have to wait long to find out. That afternoon, I got a message from someone I hadn't spoken to in years, Jake. Jake was Amanda's ex. The one before me. I had never met him in person, but I had heard plenty of stories. According to Amanda, he was obsessed with her after they broke up. She made him sound like some psycho who couldn't take a hint. I had never thought much of it. Until now. Because the message he sent me? It was only 2 sentences. Jake, hey man, I know we don't know each other, but if Amanda is pulling the same crap she pulled with me, watch your back. My stomach twisted. I stared at the message for a long time, trying to make sense of it. What the hell did that mean? Pulling the same crap? I took a deep breath and replied. Me, what do you mean? His response came fast. Jake, she didn't tell you, did she? Of course she didn't. I frowned. Me, tell me what? A pause. Then, Jake, she tried to ruin my life after we broke up. Lied to people, spread rumors, even tried to get me fired. Be careful, dude. She doesn't take rejection well. I felt my blood go cold. This was not over. That night, I kept thinking about what Jake said. I tried to convince myself that Amanda wouldn't go that far. But deep down, I knew better. Sure enough, the next morning, I got a text from my boss. Boss, hey Aiden, can you come to my office when you get in? My heart dropped. I barely slept the night before, but I dragged myself to work and went straight to his office. The second I walked in, I knew something was wrong. He looked uncomfortable. He gestured for me to sit down. Listen, I got a complaint from someone about you. I blinked. A complaint? He sighed, rubbing his temples. An anonymous email came in last night. Someone claiming you've been emotionally abusive and manipulative in your personal relationships. They said they were concerned about your behavior. I stared at him, my pulse pounding. It was her. It had to be her. I kept my voice calm. Do you believe it? My boss gave me a long look. I don't. But HR still has to investigate. Of course they did. She had sent an anonymous complaint to my job. She was trying to screw with my career. But I wasn't going to let her. I took a deep breath. I think I know who sent it. His eyebrows lifted slightly. Oh. I nodded. I recently broke up with someone. She cheated, I kicked her out, and she didn't take it well. I also just got a warning from her ex, she's done this before. My boss exhaled through his nose, nodding slowly. That makes sense. I leaned forward. I can get proof. He raised an eyebrow. You sure? I was. Because Amanda was sloppy. And I was about to turn her own games against her. I left my boss's office with one goal, prove that Amanda was behind everything. First, I checked my work email. If she had sent an anonymous complaint, I knew she had to be careful about hiding her identity. But Amanda wasn't as smart as she thought. HR forwarded me the complaint, and while the email address was generic, I noticed one key mistake. She mentioned things only she would know. Specific arguments we had. Private details about our relationship. Stuff I never told anyone else. That was enough for me. But I needed more. So, I reached out to Jake again. You said Amanda tried to ruin your life. What exactly did she do? Jake. She pulled the same move on me. Sent a fake complaint to my boss, tried to make me look like the bad guy. Jake, she also told people I stole from her. Said I took her money and used her credit cards without asking. My stomach tightened. Because I had a bad feeling I knew what was coming next. I checked my bank account. And there it was. 2 unauthorized charges. Both made after I kicked her out. She had stolen my credit card. I went straight to the bank and filed a fraud report. The charges were small, just gas and groceries, but it was enough to prove she was still using my card without permission. Next, I called my landlord. I had already removed her from the lease, but I wanted one last piece of proof. Turns out, my landlord had security cameras facing the entrance. He checked the footage for me. And there it was. Amanda, sneaking into the building with Jason. Yeah. Jason. The same guy she swore she wasn't like that with. They had used the spare key to get into my apartment together. I felt my blood boil. I had enough. I gathered everything. The complaint email. Screenshots of Amanda's Instagram posts proving she lied about being sick. Evidence of the fraudulent charges. Security footage of her breaking in with Jason. Screenshots of Jason's girlfriend's profile. Yes, he had a girlfriend too. I took my time building the perfect case. And then? I started dropping bombs. I walked into HR with a folder full of evidence. Laid everything out. Explained the whole situation. My boss already suspected the complaint was BS, but when I showed them Amanda's history of lying, the credit card fraud, and the fact that she had done this before. Case closed. HR dismissed the complaint immediately. They even said they'd flag the email in case she ever tried to pull the same stunt again. One problem solved. Jason thought he got away clean. He was wrong. Remember his girlfriend? The one Amanda pretended didn't exist? I found her. It wasn't even hard. She had been posting cute couple pictures with Jason just a few weeks earlier. So, I sent her everything. Screenshots of Amanda and Jason at the restaurant. Security footage of him sneaking into my apartment with her. Every single message Amanda had sent me after the breakup. Her response? Thanks for this. He's dead to me. An hour later, Jason's relationship status was wiped clean. By the end of the week, I heard from a coworker that Jason quit his job.